We're on our way with the review of the day. Starts when we say rocket. Hello, everybody. My name is Kumar, and today we'll be reviewing our fourth episode of season 1 of Little Einsteins. Season 1, episode 4, Whale Tale. In this episode, at the beach, the team is making sandcastles while Rocket is playing with his new friend, a little humpback whale, until the whale's mother calls him home, much to Rocket's sadness, as he begins to miss his friend. The team decides to go to the ocean to find little whale so Rocket can be happy again. Our featured The Shore at Bass Boutin, Honfleur by George Seurat. Music featured Horn Concerto Number 2 in E flat by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Now, this episode, fun fact, it's actually the very first episode I seen of the show when I was very young. I remember I was in my grandma and grandpa's room when I was very young. I want to say like around 5 years old. 5 years old. It was like very early in the morning, like very early. You know, like how very early in the morning, like when the sun has just came up. It's still kind of like foggy. It kind of looks a bit foggy outside, somewhat kind of dark. And I was just like scrolling through channels. I was just like scrolling through channels. I don't know why my grandma and grandpa were up really early at that time. I just don't know why. Um, I don't know. My grandfather, he was in the room and he gave me the remote and I started like scrolling through like televisions, and that's when I went to the Disney Channel and they were playing this particular episode on the channel. And how I remember is because when I first tuned into this episode, they were having a snack. They were having a snack. So that's how I remember this episode. Bit lackluster, yes, but at the same time, I remember. I remember. So if anybody had to ask me what's my first episode I watched of the show, I'm gonna give them the legit answer, and that's Whale Tale. Yes, so Whale Tale is my first episode I seen of the show. But speaking of the episode is really good. Like, my favorite part of this episode is mostly the stock footage and how amazingly well it's used. It's used so well, so good. Like, there's, like, I don't know how they do it, but the way, like, they mix in, like, I want to guess that the team and Rocket are animated with Adobe Flash. That's my guess. That's my guess. But how you would not think that Adobe Flash animation and stock image and stock footage would go hand in hand, would go so good together, but it does. It's so well animated. And I know some people may say like the stock footage in the show is a bit overused sometimes, but in my opinion, especially in this episode, I really like it. I really like it. It's really, really good, especially the whales swimming in the water. All the stock footage of the whales is so good. And just everything about it is so nice. We even learn about the ocean, like the ocean here and there. Like, it's really amazing. I really love the stock footage in this episode. It's so nice. And when they're on the beach making sandcastles, I love how they incorporate the art. The I love how they incorporate the art as their setting. Like, it's so pretty. I love it so much. And I also like how this is one of the cases in the show where like this is one of the cases in the show where the team genuinely cares for each other. Like, even when the characters had just came back, when they just finished having a snack, they notice Rocket's sad. They want to make him happy, and we don't have no. We just sat down for a snack. We don't have none of that. They legitimately want to help Rocket. They want to help Rocket. They want to make him feel happy again. They want to help him find his friend, which I like that a lot. I like that. And Rocket and the Whale just playing together is so cute. It's so cute and adorable. And the music featured in this episode is just it's it's basically if you had to ask me about any classical music, it's just this music piece right here is like one of the staples of classical art when it comes to when it comes to composers from way back then, and um I and Wolfgang is, I'm focusing on the word wolf, the name Wolfgang right here, because for all my, about to say social media, lost media fanatics out there, you would know that there's a lost pilot of the show, and there has been some concepts out there saying that Quincy's name was originally supposed to be Wolfgang. So yeah, whenever I hear them say Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, I just think of, whenever they say Wolfgang, I just think of, oh my god, that was Quincy's original name. also, also another fun fact: June's name was originally supposed to be Isadora. Yes, Isadora. Isadora. I Now don't get me wrong, Isadora. I feel like that's a very, in my opinion, that is a very good name. But for a kid show, I feel like that name's a little bit mature. It's a little bit of a mature name, in my opinion. But listen, anybody who's out there whose name is Isadora, or do you know somebody whose name is Isadora, this is not an insult to your name. If your parents chose to call you that, I'm happy for you. I'm happy they gave you a beautiful name like that. I'm just saying, like, obviously Isadora is somebody by a real person. She was a real person who was an actual dancer, which June is based off of, because now in the final show she's a dancer. But I'm just saying, like Isadora is just a very wild name that they went with. And it's not even because of the context of, like, she's named after a very, I'm pretty sure she was a really well-known dancer back then, but I'm just saying, like, Isadora, it just doesn't feel like June. I would pick June any day over Isadora. Like I said, there's no offense to anybody whose name is Isadora or Wolfgang. If any of your names out there is Isadora or Wolfgang, I'm happy for you. I really am. But I'm getting way off track. Back to the episode. Um, um, I just love it when they enter the ocean, and it's just so amazing. It's just so amazing. It's so beautiful and pretty. So beautiful and pretty. And I love how we mostly get what things in the ocean that we don't know what they are from June. Like, she explains about, we go through like an anemone and a coral reef. And I also like how Annie tries to pronounce it. She's like, what's an anemone? It's just so cute. It's adorable. It's adorable. It's so cute. It's so cute. And just because sometimes these kids act somewhat mature because they're going off on their own, doesn't mean they still can't have their kid struggles. Which right here is with Annie. She is the youngest. She has a bit of trouble pronouncing words. And later on down the line in the season, we're gonna have something about Quincy, which everybody and me went through when they were younger. So yeah. And I also love how we have some danger here and there, like when we have like a squid, we have to get away from a shark, and my boy Quincy, he jinxed it. He said, "Good thing we didn't run into a shark." And just 2 seconds later, a shark. And then we even have some very exotic, dangerous animals, which is a scorpion, fish, right? Was it a scorpion fish? Yes, a scorpion fish, which, if you don't know, stings are very venomous, and when stung, need immediate medical help. So I'm happy they kind of took the dangerous route, but in the animation, it's just so well animated. Like the way the animals are animated, the ones that they're being chased by, particularly the shrimp, not shrimp, the scorpion fish, the squid, and the shark. It looks like the animation style of it looks like photo puppetry. I think that's what it is. I'm getting very Wonder Pets vibes from the photo puppetry we have in the episode. I am, and I love it. And we also have some puffer fish, which, sure, they're dangerous, but they're one of my favorite fish. I can help it. let's be honest. We all have that animal which, is really dangerous, but at the same time is really, really, really fascinating to learn about and look at, just as long as you don't get so up close to it. My opinion. And I love it when they first enter in. Quincy does this twice where he's like, now I know what it feels like to be a fish. He does a little fishy face to a little fish and to the puffer fish. It was so cute. And I like how when the shark chased them into like a coral reef, they're underneath Orchestra Ocean. And I also like how we have I also like it how we have a French horn. We have one instrument that goes underwater, which means because originally I had the thought that it was only the instruments Orchestra Ocean, my words, they could only be above the water, but no, they can go underneath the water if they want to. And for some reason, the French horn is animated when they're trying to talk to the French horn underwater. The animation of it is really giving off Blue's Clues. Because it looks like all realistic and stuff, but the way it's moving, how like sometimes in Blue's Clues they'll have like moving things that the way it's moving, I'm getting Blue's Clues vibes from it. I am. I am. And once again, we have our musical vocabulary. We have a cello rondo, and once again, retardando. And once again, my boy Quincy, he is advanced. We find out now that he can play a French horn. And when they want to call the whales all together, Rocket finds some conch shells, and Quincy's able to make music from it, and so are the others. And Annie does say it. Quincy can play anything, which means he could play anything that's not even an instrument. So my boy's advanced. He is advanced, okay? He is advanced. No doubt about that. He is advanced. And in the end, they're able to call a little whale, even through all their obstacles. They're able to find little whale, and Rocket are able to, and him and Rocket are able to play together. And mission completion. And I also like it at the end before the credits roll. We have Quincy once again. I say playing the shell. I say once again because I don't know if I mentioned this at the end of my review from last episode, Hungarian hiccups, but Quincy before the credits roll in that episode, he pretended that he had the hiccups, and the characters were like, Quincy. Which I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that, but that part at the end of that episode just made me smile. So yeah, overall this episode, me claiming it as my very first episode I saw as a kid, I hold sentimental value over it. If it wasn't for this episode, I would have never known about this show. So I really, really just am so happy that I got to see this episode as a kid airing on the Disney Channel, because if I didn't, I would have never exceeded my love for Little Einsteins and never have grown up with the show or appreciate it as much as I do now as a young adult. So I'm going to give this episode a proud 10. And I believe it's our first 10 doing these reviews. And it deserves it. Amazing animation style, amazing, really good moments. See anatomy. Well, not anatomy. See facts about Under the Sea. It's facts about Under the Sea. I even told you about a little fun fact about one of the characters' names that was supposed to be, that was originally supposed to be named by a famous artist. But yeah, this episode is getting a 10 because, well, it's just an episode I hold sentimental value for it, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I really wouldn't. So, tune into our next episode where, funnily enough, this episode is very similar to another show that I reviewed on this channel from the very beginning. It's pretty much the same title, only with an S at the end of the first word. If you know what I'm talking about, you know. So, tune in with me next time as we will be reviewing our 5th episode of the season, Season 1, Episode 5, Pirate's Treasure. See you all next time. Mission completion.